The image of women in the Middle Ages is often that of a damsel in distress, a frail, weak creature who needs protection from the wicked outside world. However, these conceptions are not entirely correct, because during the Middle Ages, women participated in almost every aspect of public life, including warfare. Throughout the Middle Ages, women would do whatever it took to protect their families and communities. And this included fighting on the front lines as fierce warriors. While these warrior women might have been overlooked by history books, they were very much real and had a significant impact on the outcome of battles. Join us today as we look at 10 medieval warrior women whose bravery and skills in combat made them legendary. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Also, give us a thumbs up for more videos like this one. 10. Boudica, Queen of the Iceni. Boudica was the warrior queen of the Iceni tribe in Britain during the Roman occupation. She led a rebellion against Rome after her husband died, and Rome violated the terms of his will regarding the succession of their two daughters. Her uprising was one of the most serious threats that Rome faced in Britain. Boudica's army consisted of 100,000 warriors, which makes it the largest force raised by a woman in British history. She led her troops to victory in several battles before being defeated by the Roman general Suetonius Paulinus at the Battle of Watling Street. Although she lost the battle, she remains a symbol of courage and resistance against oppression. There is some debate over whether or not she actually existed, since there is no physical evidence to prove it. But the Romans did write about a revolt in Britain led by a woman named Boudica, so it's likely that she was at least partially based off of a real person. Number 9. Queen Isabella of France. Isabella of France was one of the most powerful women in medieval Europe. She was the wife of King Philip of France and regent of France when her husband was on crusade. She was in charge of the French military when the king was gone. During her regency, she successfully defended France against a number of English attacks. She also played an important role in the recovery of Normandy from the English, though it was her son who actually defeated the English and reclaimed Normandy for France. It was her hard work that laid the groundwork for his victory. Though Isabella was mostly a political figure, she was known for her bravery and military intelligence. She was also a patron of the arts and sciences and helped to promote the development of French culture during the late Middle Ages. Number 8. Lady Godiva. Legend has it that Lady Godiva was an English noblewoman who rode naked on a horse through the streets of Coventry to protest her husband's oppressive rule. According to the story, Godiva was a kind and generous woman who wanted to help the poor people of Coventry. When her husband Leofric, Earl of Mercia, began oppressing them with high taxes, she decided to take action. She rode through the city naked on a horse to shame him into changing his ways. And he did. Over time, the story of Lady Godiva has become a thing of legend in England. Many people believe that she was a real historical figure, though there is no evidence to support this claim. Some historians believe that she may have been based on several different women who lived during the Middle Ages. Number 7. Empress Matilda. Empress Matilda was the daughter of King Henry I of England and was the first woman to be named heir to the English throne. She was married to the Holy Roman Emperor and gave birth to 3 sons, making her a powerful figure in medieval Europe. Unfortunately, she was also caught up in the political turmoil that followed her father's death. When her cousin Stephen seized the throne, she and her sons were forced to flee to France. There she raised an army and launched a campaign to reclaim her throne. The civil war that followed resulted in the deaths of countless nobles and the destabilization of England. Eventually, Stephen's son Henry II came to power and ended the conflict. Though she failed to secure the throne for herself, Matilda's legacy as a strong and capable leader lives on. 6. Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc is one of the most famous female warriors in history. She was a French peasant girl who claimed to have visions from God telling her to help the French army defeat the English and reclaim the throne of France. And that's exactly what she did. Despite her lack of military experience, Joan led the French army to several victories, including the Battle of Orléans, which lifted the English siege of the city. She was eventually captured by the English and sold to the Duke of Burgundy, who handed her over to the English. They charged her with heresy and forced her to renounce her visions, then they burned her at the stake. Joan of Arc's story has inspired people throughout the ages. She is a symbol of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. Number 5. Princess Elizabeth of England. Princess Elizabeth was the daughter of King Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn. She was in line to become queen after her older sister Mary, but Mary's mother, Catherine of Aragon, refused to acknowledge her legitimacy. So Mary came to power first. When Mary died without an heir, Elizabeth became the new Queen of England. She reigned for 44 years and is considered one of the most successful monarchs in English history. Elizabeth was a strong and intelligent ruler who was able to navigate the religious and political turmoil of the time period. She established a new Church of England and set out to restore the country's economy and prestige. Under her rule, England became a major player on the world stage again. But Elizabeth never married or had children. So upon her death, her cousin, James VI of Scotland, inherited the throne. Number 4. Margaret Clitheroe. Margaret Clitheroe was an ordinary English housewife until her husband was sentenced to death for his Catholic beliefs. At that point, she cut off her hair, put on her husband's clothes, and took his place in prison. She was then hanged, drawn, and quartered for her crimes. But before she died, she managed to send a message to other Catholics in England, telling them to stay true to their faith no matter what. Margaret Clitheroe's story is an example of the lengths to which people will go to protect their beliefs. She was a brave woman who was willing to sacrifice everything for her faith. Number 3. Queen Isabella of Castile. Isabella the Friar of Castile was the last Christian queen of Granada. She ruled over the Emirate of Granada from 1292 to 1302 and is best known for her role in the conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. In 1299, she began a campaign to drive the Moors out of Spain. With the help of her husband, King Ferdinand VI of Castile, she conquered most of southern Spain. When the Moors surrendered in 1492, Isabella became the queen of all of Spain. She was a strong and intelligent ruler who is credited with helping to transform Spain into a modern nation-state. But she was also responsible for some of the darkest chapters in Spanish history, including the Spanish Inquisition. Number 2. Princess Anna Yana. Princess Anna Yana was the daughter of King Ladislaus III of Hungary and was the first woman to ever serve as regent of Hungary. When her father died in 1382, she took over his position as prince while her brother, King Louis I, was still a child. She acted as the king's advisor and regent until her death in 1395. Though she never held the title of queen, she was one of the most powerful women in medieval Europe. Anna Yana was a patron of the arts and sciences and helped to promote the development of Hungarian culture. 1. Shield Maiden. A shield maiden was a female warrior in Norse culture. She was typically depicted as a fierce and skilled fighter who could hold her own in battle. Her role in society was to protect her family and community, and she was often seen as a symbol of strength and independence. Shield maidens were typically unmarried women who had not yet given birth, but they could also be widows or even mothers. They were typically trained in the use of weapons such as swords, shields, and axes, and they were expected to fight alongside men in battle. Shield maidens were often celebrated in Norse mythology and folklore, and they were said to have superhuman strength and courage. One of the most famous shield maidens in Norse mythology is Brynhildr, who is said to have fought in the Battle of the Huns and the Battle of the Rhine. Thanks for watching. Which of these women would you want to have as your warrior queen? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time.